Greetings and welcome to another Patch Notes video here at Words About Games, and today I want to talk about Words About Games rather than doing a video essay about something to do with the games industry or whatever that I would normally do with this Patch Notes video. Today I want to talk about this YouTube channel and a little bit about the Twitch channel as well, just to talk about what it's going to look like going forward. So for the last 6+ months I've kind of been quiet about what we're doing with the channel, and you'll have seen different videos pop up and different types of videos pop up, and you might have seen things like when we changed reviews to impressions and we sort of tinkered with the impressions format a bit, stuff like that. And I've done all that without really talking about it. In 2017 and 2018, a big problem I have for me personally, for myself, was I kept announcing things. Like we were going to do this and do that and do this, and then when stuff didn't work or we decided to change stuff, I would then sit down a month or two later and do another big video and be like, okay, so now we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. And I realized that was stupid, basically. So instead, I sort of buckled down at some point last year, I don't remember specifically when, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this one thing at a time, and I'm going to experiment with one piece of content and then the next piece of content and sort of figure out how to go forward. And then at the end of all of that experimentation, then I'd talk about what the channel is going to look like going forward once I locked everything in. And that time is now. I now know what works, what doesn't, what kind of content works for the channel, what kind of content works for me, works for the people that contribute to the channel and help me out. And now I know what the content on the channel is going to look like going forward. So I'm going to talk about that now. So the first big thing to talk about is that there's going to be a content schedule. I've been working to a sort of soft schedule the past few months, where I've been attempting to hit certain days for certain different types of videos and failing sometimes, but it wasn't such a big deal because it wasn't an announced schedule, so it wasn't like you guys knew that I was missing deadlines or that I was doing things late. And that was part of the reason why it was a soft schedule, because I didn't want people to know that sometimes I would take longer doing a certain thing, or there'd be a delay, or my computer would break, which is what happened a couple of weeks ago. But now that I've experimented with all my content, I'm ready to actually nail down a proper content schedule, and that's the bulk of what I'm going to talk about here today. So I'm just going to jump right into it so that you guys all know what videos you're going to be getting on what days, or what types of videos you'll be getting on what types of days. And I'm going to start with Mondays, which isn't changing in the slightest. It's the one thing that's been consistent for years, I think, at this point, on Words About Games. And that is the podcast, the Words About Games cast. It's going to be coming out every Monday. It's not changing in any way, shape, or form. We did sort of change the format and tweak it a little bit to a much better sort of format. The 5 topics that we talk about within the podcast, where we discuss the 5 biggest or most controversial, or just generally the things that we want to talk about surrounding games news, video games themselves, gaming culture, the industry, stuff like that. It's not changing in any way, shape, or form. Me and Keith are still going to sit down every week. We're still going to record it. We're going to put it out on Mondays. So I'm going to skip Tuesdays for a couple of minutes. You'll see why when I talk about Tuesdays, and we go to Wednesdays, which is where Indie Game of the Week is going to fall. This is bounced around the schedule a couple of times. It's dropped off, it's come back, it's dropped off, it's come back again. It's another thing that's not really changing. The format works really well. I'm really happy with it. It's gotten a really good positive response from people that watch it, from the developers of the games that we try to spotlight, and we're not really going to change that much about it. Other than to say that it's coming back. It's coming back very soon, and when it does come back, it's not going anywhere. So every Wednesday you're going to get to see a new, cool-looking indie game that hasn't come out yet, as we try to just sort of shine spotlights on upcoming games, indie games that look really cool, that have caught my attention, and that I want to talk about and get you guys excited about, because indie games are awesome. I did an entire patch notes a month ago called Indie Games Are Amazing, and there's always been a heavy indie focus on this channel because I love indie games. They're so cool, and any excuse to talk positively about them is an excuse I'm going to take and just run with. So beyond that, we've got Thursdays, and Thursdays are going to alternate. So one Thursday you're going to get patch notes, which is what this video counts as, and then the next Thursday you'll get a friendly debate, and then the Thursday after a patch notes and third friendly, and then it's just going to alternate every other week. You'll either get patch notes or you'll get a friendly debate. So patch notes isn't really a very well defined video series on this channel, and That's on purpose. So what you've been getting recently with patch notes has been video essays. You've also gotten a couple of lists where I've talked about anticipated games or indie games that you should be keeping an eye on, stuff like that. But it's designed to be really flexible, so that it's sort of the video where it's opinions or editorials or features or things like that, and it's ill-defined because we don't want to box it off and then think of a really good idea that we could have used patch notes for, but we can't because patch notes has become this rigidly defined thing. So patch notes is going to be so every other Thursday with patch notes, you're going to get video essays. Sometimes you'll get updates like this. Sometimes you might get direct to camera ramblings about certain things that I or someone else wants to talk about. Sometimes you'll get lists. Sometimes you'll get alternative style podcasts, discussions between myself and Keith, or myself, Keith, and somebody else, or like a big group of us might just get together and discuss a certain thing. Like I said, it's designed to cover all. Like I said, it's designed to cover a lot of bases and just be a very flexible, hard to describe thing where we just talk about a specific topic. Friendly Debates is a lot of fun. We've more or less nailed down the format of what we want to do with Friendly Debates. We're happy with it. We're really happy with it. We're having a lot of fun doing all of these different debates. And it was in the works for some time, and it's nice that we've been able to sort of find a version of it that we're happy with, and we're just going to be plowing forward with it every fortnight on a Thursday. You're going to get a friendly debate. Me and Keith are going to sit down. We're going to have a top 5 whatever of something to do with video games, and for anyone that doesn't know what the format is, I'll just break it down really quickly. So we make a top 5 list based on debate and discourse, and what happens is we pick a topic. So the next one will be top 5 video game soundtracks. Keith will give me 7 video game soundtracks. I will already have 7 video game soundtracks. I'll mash that together into our master list, which will probably be between 7 and 14 different things depending on how much we've agreed. And then we whittle the list down by deciding what we want to cut. We take it in turns to decide if we want to cut something, and then we have debates to see if it gets cut or if it stays on the list. Once we're down to the final 5, we then debate and figure out what the top 5 actually looks like from 5 all the way up to 1. We've got a potential list of topics a mile long. We're not going to run out of content on that anytime soon. We're going to start bringing in guests to do the friendly debates for things that Keith, bless him, will not be able to put together a list of. So if, like, for example, if we did a top 5 JRPGs list, Keith doesn't really play many JRPGs, so I'd probably bring in somebody else to do that. And it's always going to be a mixture of the more quote-unquote serious lists, like top 5 game consoles, and we'll still be doing the weird ones, like top 5 weirdest healing in video games. And just on a note, when I say serious, we're not taking the lists too seriously. I say that at the beginning of every single video, so, you guys shouldn't take the lists too seriously either. Now, I'm going to circle back, and I'm going to talk about Tuesdays. And the reason I left this one is because it's not just something that happens on Tuesdays. So it's review impressions. Again, it's another type of video that's not changing, and they're going to be coming out. There's going to be 3 slots for review impressions every week, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're always going to get 3 review impressions every week. So you'll definitely get one every Tuesday. There will definitely be at least one that goes live on the channel every Tuesday. You will more than likely get 2. There will be a second one that goes live either on a Friday or a Sunday. And every now and again, depending on how long I've had to play games, how many games have come out in a specific week, or a bunch of other different factors, you might even get 3. And when you do, you'll get one on Tuesday, and one on Friday, and one on Sunday. And those timings are not an accident. They're timed to coincide with new game releases and embargoes, because I am fortunate enough doing Words About Games that I do sometimes get games ahead of time and can hit embargoes, and a lot of embargoes generally tend to drop on a Tuesday or a Friday. The format's not changing. It works really well. People seem to be happy with review impressions. So that's not going to change. It's going to be scheduled, basically. So you're going to get one on Tuesday, and then probably a second one, and then maybe even a third one, and those will come on Friday or Sunday. And what this means is, in terms of, that's the core content of Words About Games. And because this is all going to be scheduled, and a lot of it's going to be done in advance, I'm going to be able to tweet out what you're going to be able to expect for the channel on a weekly basis. So on a Sunday/Monday, I'll be putting out what you're going to be getting, when the podcast that goes live, whatever the topic of a patch notes is, or whatever the topic of a friendly debate is, the review impressions that you're going to be getting on a weekly basis, and what review impressions they're going to be. So you're going to be able to see what you're going to be getting ahead of time, which I think is really cool. But that's the foundation, and that's the content that you know. If you've been around Words About Games for any length of time, you'll have seen all of this content, or this type of content dropping before. There's going to be more content. There's going to be some new content. We're bringing back some old stuff, and I'm going to talk about that now. So first up, I'm bringing back reactions. Well, what am I going to be reacting to? Well, I'm going to be reacting to all sorts of different things. I'm going to be reacting to game reveals. I've just recorded one not 20 minutes ago for Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which will be coming out later today. I'm going to be doing press conferences, events, and directs. So again, I've just recorded one for the State of Play that just happened. And all of this is going on YouTube. I've experimented with live streaming this stuff over on Twitch at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. But because you have to do that kind of stuff live when this stuff is actually happening, it's very difficult because of my schedule to actually be able to sit down when things are happening and actually do live streams for these things. So I'm not going to be live streaming them, apart from E3, and which will always live stream, and maybe even stuff like the Game Awards and stuff like that. But apart from those things, like when there's an Inside Xbox or Nintendo Direct or a State of Play or a game reveal or some kind of big game trailer, big press conference, all sorts of different things, I'll just sit down and I'll play the video, I'll talk over the top of it, and then talk a little bit at the end about what I've just witnessed, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Second, I want to bring back previews, and there's going to be a few different types of previews that you're going to get. You're going to get the traditional previews. So if I go to a trade show like EGX, you'll get a ton of previews for all of the games that I haven't released that I will have played when I go to EGX. And if I'm fortunate enough to get from developers or PR or whatever, early builds or early access to upcoming games, I'll do previews for these games. And we'll also do betas and demos. So if there's a beta or a demo that comes out ahead of time for a game, I'll do a preview of that. If it's very close to the release of the game, say like, for example, Anthem's demo was only a few weeks before Anthem actually came out, I'd probably skip that because I feel like I'd just be playing it and then repeating myself when I do the impressions. But if it's a decent length of time between or before when a game is due to come out and there's a demo or a beta, I'll play the beta or the demo, I'll do an impressions piece of it. Or a preview piece of it, because it's not an impressions, because that's a different thing altogether. And I also want to check out games in early access as well. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. I tried to sort of do it on Twitch last year, where I did a couple of games from early access. And again, I'm using Twitch for something different. I'll talk about that at the end of the video. But it means things like Risk of Rain 2 or Storm Divers or any other games that are in early access. If I'll get into some of them, I'll play them, I'll do a preview of them. And previews are going to be a bit more fluid than impressions, whereas impressions are scripted, and I write out big, long, 1,000-word essays about games and edit and tweak and make sure it all sounds great. Previews are just going to be me sitting down after having played a game and just talking about it without a script, without anything like that, just to really get that sort of raw opinion of sort of like, this is what stood out for good or for bad. Now, on top of those things, we're looking into developing monthly series. And what I mean by that is there's a day that I haven't mentioned yet at all, and that day is Saturday. And what I want to start doing, or what we want to start doing, this isn't just going to be me, this is also going to be Keith as well, is developing monthly content. So there are always 4 Saturdays in every month, and the aim is to fill those 4 Saturdays with content. So the first Saturday of every month will be a specific series, and the second Saturday of every month will be a different series. So over the course of a year, you'll have 12 episodes of 12 different things airing, sort of like in a leapfrog pattern, one, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then the cycle starts again at the beginning of the next month. And we have a lot of ideas for what these things could be, but I'm not going to make the mistakes I've done before and announce things before they're ready. So although we're trying to nail down 4 different things, there's only actually 2 things that I want to announce right now, because they're the only 2 things that are actually going to be coming. So the first one will be on the first Saturday of every month, we're going to do highlights and outtakes. And that's exactly what it sounds like. We're going to do a highlights video of everything from like all of our highlights from all of our different types of videos, Twitch streams, podcasts, everything, basically, literally everything that we output, and we're going to pull the highlights out, and we're going to make a nice highlight reel, and that'll be the first Saturday of every month. The other one that I want to announce is the second Saturday of every month, and it's a series I'm calling Indie Explorer. Now, I mentioned earlier that I love indie games. Indie games are amazing, and I want to do more to highlight smaller games. So what Indie Explorer is it's essentially a Let's Play, but it's actually a series of Let's Plays all in one video. So I like to think we do a good job of covering indie games here at Words About Games via review impressions, but we usually only cover the big to mid-tier indie games with that kind of content. And there are a lot of indie games that release away from Steam, away from public perception almost, on things like Itch.io and Game Jolt. And what Indie Explorer is going to be is, it's going to be me sitting down once a month with 2 or 3 or 4 or maybe even more of these different types of games, very quirky, very indie, very small types of games, and just doing edited Let's Plays of all of them, one after the other, in a video that I have no idea how long it'll be. But it's just to give you a sort of taste of all of these different types of games and experiences that you can get that you might not necessarily be aware of, that I've barely been aware of until I've actually started looking into doing this series. So I'm looking to launch this on the second Saturday of June. So on the first Saturday of June, you're going to get the highlights video, and hopefully on the second Saturday of June, you're going to get the Indie Explorer video. Now, I'm hoping you're going to get the Indie Explorer video, but then the second Saturday of June also happens to be E3, so I might be a little bit busy around about then. So if it doesn't come out in June, it'll definitely start coming out in July. And then there's other stuff that we're planning for the other 2 Saturdays. I know sometimes in some months, some months have 5 Saturdays, but I'm not going to be. That only happens every now and again. That's not regular, so we'll probably just take that Saturday off. And of course, over at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames, we stream games. It's what we do. It's changed very much, like in the past few months, where last year Twitch was very much the place where I was just streaming new games, and I'd keep picking games up and playing them for 1 or 2 streams and then dropping them, and to pick up the next one and then the next one and then the next one. And that was really unsatisfying for me, and I'm not sure people were digging it in terms of people who were watching. So it's changed over the last few months, and I'll talk a little bit about how it's changed just now, because I've got your attention, I guess. So I stream 3 days a week, sometimes 4, sometimes I do bonus streams on Sundays, because I do D&D on Sundays with Keith and a few friends, and I've always got that Sunday blocked off, the Sunday night blocked off, and then if that's not happening, then sometimes I'll use that Sunday to just stream a game. But the 3 traditional streams, they're always going to be on different days of the week. I apologise for that. I'd love to stick to a streaming schedule where I'm streaming in the same days at the same time, but unfortunately my life doesn't allow for that right now. So the best I can do is offer you and say there will always be 3 streams, and if you head over to my Twitter, which is linked in the description below this video, every Sunday or Monday I'll always be posting when I'm going to be streaming for that week and what I'm going to be playing. And the 3 streams are always 3 different games. There's one which is chosen by the community on a Twitter poll, which coming up is going to be Batman Return to Arkham. And once I'm finished with Batman Return to Arkham, I'll go back to Twitter, do another Twitter poll, and then I'll see what I'm playing. And there's always one stream which is a new-ish game that I'm streaming to completion, that at the moment is Close to the Sun, which is a horror game that just came out on the Epic Game Store, which I'm really digging. And then there's always a stream which, a little bit like Patch Notes, is a wildcard stream, so that it could be anything from multiplayer games to something along the lines of the Resident Evil randomizers that I've been doing recently on Twitch, to chill streams, to achievement hunting streams, to first looks, or to me playing through all the games. I recently played through Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines until the computer malfunction I had ate my save file. I know when Halo Reach drops in the Master Chief Collection, Keith and I are going to stream all the campaigns from all the Halo games in the Master Chief Collection, which is all of the main Halo games. So you'll always get something different. But my main focus on Twitch is I want to beat games. Like, When I do review, since switching to review impressions, I've been able to drop games that I've not been digging so much, and it's given me free time to play some games to completion that I really want to play at completion. There are games that I get or got back in the day where I used to play them and think, damn, this would have been a good game to stream, but I've got to get a review done, so I can't take weeks and weeks potentially to stream the game to completion, and now I get a chance to do that. And that's going to do it. We'll have more to announce probably as the year goes on, but we have a content schedule now. That's the main takeaway from this long rambling video. TLDR, we have a content schedule now. You're going to be getting the same videos every week. Not the same videos every week, but the same content every week with different subjects. So just to recap it really quickly, on Mondays, you're going to be getting the Words About Games cast. On Tuesdays, you're going to be getting a review impressions video. On Wednesdays, you're going to be getting an indie game of the week. On alternate Thursdays, you're going to be getting a patch notes or a friendly debates. That'll be every other week. So you'll be getting a patch notes, then a friendly debates, then a patch notes, then a friendly debates, and so on and so forth. And then on Fridays and Sundays, you'll be getting review impressions when we're doing 2 and 3 review impressions in a week. And on the first Saturday of every month, you'll be getting highlights. On the second Saturday of every month, you'll be getting Indie Explorer. On the third and fourth Saturdays of every month, going forward, once we've figured out what content we want to do, you'll be getting other things. And intermittently spaced out in between all of this, when stuff drops, you'll be getting reactions videos and you'll be getting previews. And that's it. That's what Words About Games is going to look like. If you head over to my Twitter and follow me on Twitter, you'll be able to see every Sunday or Monday exactly what content you're getting on the YouTube channel and exactly what streams you'll be getting over at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames each and every week, well before in advance. Sounds like fun? It is fun. I really enjoy doing this, and it's nice that I've finally been able to wrangle this into a schedule that I'm really happy with and I can keep up with, and also have a life. So thank you very much for watching this long rambly video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've enjoyed whatever game footage I've decided to play over the top of it. But that's going to do it. I'm not going to drop in my usual Words About Games outro on the end of this video. All I'm going to say is thank you. I love you all. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you all in many future videos.